Hello, everybody. My name is Sam Weeks. I'm a full-time admissions consultant, and part of that work is speaking to people who've been through the MBA application experience. And today I'm joined by Sharoon, who is a part-time MBA graduate. So this is the first time on our channel that we're speaking to a part-time graduate. I'm really looking forward to hearing your perspective, Sharoon. Lovely to meet you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Sam, for the quick introduction. I'll do a slightly longer one. Hey, everyone. I am Sharoon. I am currently a product manager at Microsoft. I went to Chicago Booth for my part-time MBA, and I used that MBA to pivot into product management. Yeah, happy to chat more about this. And thank you, Sam, for hosting me. I mean, I've been a fan of yours, so thank you for all the great work you do.
Very nice of you to say. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your background from an application perspective. So we'll do our conversation kind of chronologically walk through the application process and then the part-time MBA itself. So tell me about your application. So before you applied, what job were you in? Where was your undergrad from? What was your GPA? Did you have a GMAT or GRE, etc.?
Yeah, awesome. So for my undergrad, I went to Purdue University, which is a very big engineering school in the US. I studied computer science over there. Then I joined Microsoft out of college. So when I was applying, I had about 2 years of work experience, 2.5 years. And I know that sounds like it's it's not as much as what other applicants might have. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. So I had about 2.5 years of experience when I applied. I was a software engineer at that time, and I had gotten multiple promotions already. So I was doing pretty well at my job. In terms of GPA, I had about a 3.2 GPA from undergrad, so it wasn't that high. However, it was computer science and from a very tough school, so it worked out. And then I took my GMAT, and then for GMAT, I scored a 750 on it. So that was about at a high level background of myself.
Very nice. So that high GMAT offset the slightly lower GPA as well in some ways.
Yeah.
But I imagine I bet your GMAT quant was pretty high as well.
Yeah, I think my quant was 50 or 51. I don't remember, something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so you chose the Chicago Booth part-time MBA. So two questions then. One, why the part-time MBA? And two, why Booth?
Yeah, both great questions. I get these questions a lot. So for part-time, I felt like, so taking a step back, most students go for a full-time MBA because they want to change one of three things, right? Either location or the industry or the role. I felt like I didn't want to do any of those things. I felt like I was in a great industry. I wanted to stay in tech. In terms of location, I did not want to change location. I was happy in the US. I was happy in Seattle. In terms of role, that was probably the only thing I did want to change a little bit, which was from software engineering to product management. However, you don't need an MBA to transition from software engineering to product management. So I was like, do I really want to go to school full time for 2 years only to go through the entire pressure of getting a job again? And then, I was also on a visa, so I'd have to switch over from a work to a student visa and back to a work visa, only to hope that I might get a similar job at a high paying company again. Mm-hmm. So I just didn't feel like the risk of it was worth it. And I was already in a very privileged position, luckily, that I had a very high paying job that, most top MBA grads make at that point. So they make that much money after graduation. And I was already making that before graduation. So I felt like I didn't have enough of reason to go for a full-time MBA. So that's why I chose part-time MBA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's clear. And so for you, the idea, the key priorities were not leaving your job because why would you? Because visa and because it was a good job, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why Booth?
Yeah. So for why Booth, I think I was targeting a few top schools in the US. I was looking at Kellogg, I was looking at Booth, and I was looking at Berkeley. These are the top three part-time MBA ones. Mm-hmm. So for Booth, I think three things specifically attracted me to Booth. Number one was they're known for the flexibility. So they're an extremely flexible program. You don't have to take classes in a certain order unless obviously there's prerequisites, but it's very flexible. You can design the curriculum as how you want it. That's number one, which really appealed to me. Number two was I felt like if I had gone to Berkeley, I would just get more mingled, or I would just mingle with a lot more tech folks. And I was like, I want to branch out a little bit more and expand my horizons a little bit more. So that's why instead of Berkeley, I was like, okay, maybe Kellogg or Booth are probably a better choice. And then specifically what Booth did was the third thing for me was Booth has this CBF program. It's called the Business Fellows Program. So that is specifically for early in career people. So people who have 3 years or less than 3 years of experience, who are high performers. And I was like, okay, wow, this is amazing. I didn't even know about the program. And I was like, okay, part-time MBA, I'll wait for like year 5, year 6, and then maybe go for an MBA. But I was like, wow, this program is amazing. I probably only have like 6 months to apply. I have to do it now because I was like at the brink of that 3-year mark. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I luckily got accepted into the early in career CBF program. And then it worked out. So it just felt like Chicago Booth was very pro early career development. And I've always been very pro early career development. Even at Microsoft, I was leading a few early in career groups. So I think that really resonated with me.
That's nice. So as a school, Booth is known for its focus on data and data-driven decision making, especially.
Yeah.
How did that play into your application and also your experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I felt like coming from a tech background, I was already very, very data-driven. So I'm sure the Booth the Booth admissions committee, they really liked that about me, that it was a good fit. Mm-hmm. But I didn't feel like I needed to go to Booth to learn more of that. I felt like I already had that based on my background. Obviously, Booth gave me a lot more skills beyond the data drivenness that they really focus on. So definitely that helped as well.
Okay. So you decided Booth. Tell me about the application process for that program in particular. Were there any aspects that stood out for you?
Yeah. So I think from an application perspective, I felt like it was a pretty standard application. Mm-hmm. I went through the same process where, you do the essays, you submit the application. Then I had an interview, a couple of rounds of interviews, which was on campus at Booth. I got through. I don't think there was anything in particular that surprised me. That was a good thing. So that's so for all your viewers as well. There should not be any surprises, hopefully, if they're going for part-time MBA. Yeah, the only thing that you will have to clarify is why part-time MBA and not why full-time, or versus why not executive MBA as well. So I think that's something I would recommend to have clarity on.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so one of the reasons for a lot of people choose a part-time program over a full-time program, as you've alluded to, is the financial aspect. Obviously, working, not having to stop working while doing the program. Yeah. You can keep the same job, but you also keep the income. So talk to me about the financial considerations that you faced: part-time, full-time, job, no job, and also any scholarship things that made the decision more interesting.
Yeah, I think finances are such a big decision point in your full-time versus part-time decision journey. Yeah. So full-time and part-time, the tuition fee is just the same. I think for Booth, it's about $160,000 which is, I don't know, it's a lot of money. But anyway, so that was, the tuition fee was the same, but I still had a steady income coming from my day job. In terms of scholarship, I was lucky enough to get a $20,000 scholarship from Booth, then my employer, Microsoft, they have an amazing program that pays you, I think, $10,000 per calendar year for if you go to grad school. So based on that, since I had spread out my course over 4 calendar years, I basically was able to get $40,000 from Microsoft. So my out-of-pocket cost was only $100,000, which I felt like for a top business school, $100,000 wasn't a lot. And since it was spread out, it wasn't like I had to pay everything in one shot. And since I already had my day job, I think it worked out really, really well for me financially.
Fantastic answer. Okay. You said talk to me about the timeline. You spread the payments or the financial part over 4 years, but what did the study timeline look like?
The study time, what specifically would you want me to talk about? Because there's so many different aspects of it. So are you like talking about when I was at Booth?
Yeah, so a typical full-time MBA would start in September of year 1, go through till the following, till summer, have a summer internship of some sort, and then you'd have another year. Yeah. And so what I'm curious is how that differs from what you experienced at part-time program.
Yeah. So the good thing about Booth was that since it's so flexible, you are free to start in any quarter, or maybe that's not true. I think you have like 2 different quarters to start from. I'm not exactly sure now. I think they've changed it a little bit, but I could start in any quarter at that point. However, I did start, or maybe I think, no, actually, I started in the June or the summer quarter. So it was like mid-June. And then I finished my first year. And then I actually took classes in the summer as well. So because it was part-time, I did not have to get a summer internship. I was still working. So I continued my classes during the summer, and it worked out really, really well. So most students, typically what they would do is they would start in the same fall quarter. And since part-time MBA is slightly longer, it's about 2.5 years. So then they finish half a year later or 2 quarters after your regular full-time students. Some students actually space it out a little bit more, like I did. So, for example, like my work was sometimes so stressful that I was like, okay, I need to take a quarter off from Boots. So in those quarters, for example, I took a summer off. I think I took a couple summers off. In some quarters, I just took one class. On an average, you take 2 classes. But at some quarters, I just took 1 class. So I think that worked out really well as well.
Interesting. That's a really, really flexible program, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And especially because maybe one thing I forgot to clarify, I am based in Seattle. So I was doing the whole commute thing. I was flying in and out every single weekend from Seattle to Chicago. I know it sounds crazy, but like my CEO, Satya Nadella, did the same program when in the 90s. So I feel like, I didn't have any excuses on my side either. So yeah.
That's lovely. Following in his footsteps. That's so cool.
just hoping on trying. Yeah.
And so you spent 2.5 years doing it. Was the content of the program, how did the content of the program compare to a full-time MBA?
Yeah, the classes are exactly the same. So that was good. The professors are the same. So you get the exact same curriculum. The professors at Booth are actually required to teach part-time courses as well. So it's not like, oh, you have someone else teaching you. So exact same classes, exact same assignment. Everything is the same. You can actually, if you are in Chicago, you can actually take full-time classes as well. I took a couple classes with full-time students as well because they had some open seats there. So I did that as well. So yeah, it worked out. So I think that was a big advantage in terms of classes. I was taking the same classes. And also recruiting opportunities were also really great as well. So I think that worked out.
We'll talk about the recruitment in a moment. My question to you then about networking specifically is, if you're on a different timeline to your peers, you said you have a flexible entry, you can take a summer off, and you're on a slightly different timeline to other people. How does that affect networking?
Yeah, I felt like it actually worked out better for me. Honestly, because I felt like I could network with a lot more different people and I could make more connections. There might be an argument to say that I did not form as deep connections. However, I disagree with that a little bit because let's say I have 100 students in my first class, obviously not 100, but for example, if I have 100 students in my first class, then 50 of them I'm still having my second class, and then I have 50 more. So it's not like I'm losing connections with everyone, and I still see them outside class or in other classes or doing other activities. So I never felt like I was missing out on that part. I felt like I just had a more expanded network because I was networking with everyone, people who were senior to me, junior to me, and everyone else. So that part I really, really enjoyed.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier in our conversation that you pivoted, that you've moved from a software engineering role into a product management role.
Yep.
Can you explain how you did that and how the MBA played into that?
Yeah, I think the MBA has really, really helped me with that part. Even though I thought that maybe an MBA is not necessary, but definitely once I started taking the classes, I feel like there was such a mindset shift in the first place of how to think about problems, how to approach problems. That helped me a lot. That was number one. Number two was the great part about business school was that whatever I was learning, I could apply the next day. That's the good thing about part-time MBA. I was taking a class on Saturday and I was applying the concepts on Monday. Right. So I think those two things definitely helped me a lot. And some of the classes I took early on as well, they helped me think a little bit more from a business perspective or how a PM or product manager would think as opposed to an engineer would think. I think those things definitely helped me a lot and just pushed me further to making that switch. And I was a lot more confident in making that switch, number one. And I felt like I was a little bit more capable as well. And since I made the switch during my MBA, once I started my PM job, I was still taking classes, so I could alter my classes based on what I felt like I needed. For example, if you're launching a new product, then I could take an entrepreneurial selling class, which was a lot more focused on, hey, how do you sell a new product, right? So I think that definitely helped me a lot.
It's really, really cool. Okay. And you didn't change company. So you changed role, but you stayed in the same company and moved in the direction that you like. But I imagine a lot of your peers, and especially since the program, friends, have pivoted quite drastically.
Yeah.
So how does if you're on a part-time program, how does that pivot happen? In a full-time program, you take an internship in the area that you're aiming for and you try and convert the internship. And there's quite a structured path for that. How do you do that in part-time programs?
Yeah, it's a good question. This is a question I get a lot. In part-time MBA, it's definitely less structured. However, there's lots of opportunities. I know like so many friends who've completely shifted industries or roles. For example, a lot of people are specifically aiming for investment banking or consulting at MBB, and I think they've all done really, really well. Who were the ones who really want to do it. Some people have actually got internships as well. So what they do is they take the summer off, and you can still apply for internships. And all the top companies still come to campus, so you can still network with them, meet with them. However, I definitely agree that the full-timers get a better chance at networking with like the top companies who come to campus. But it's not like the part-timers don't get that opportunity. For example, I think even before I started, I was already networking before I knew that I wanted to stay in tech, I was still exploring my options. I definitely had opportunities to meet with like McKinsey, Bain, and Boston Consulting Group. I already had those opportunities, and I did meet with them as well. And I felt like, even as a part-time student, I had those opportunities. And there were so many student clubs who were supporting me in my journey as well as I was exploring these things. So definitely there's lots of opportunities there. But yeah, definitely less structured, but there's definitely opportunities to pivot, to speak to other people, to network, and to get an internship as well. So all these
Are you part of all the same clubs?
So no, so part-time and full-time MBA have different clubs.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's different. However, I've never seen that the part-time clubs did not have events or anything. The part-timers actually had a lot of events. The good thing was that a lot of these events would be centered around, for example, on Saturdays as well. So, for example, a lot of the weekend students would fly in on Saturdays at 10 classes. So you'd have a lot of these events hosted on Saturdays where everyone would be on campus. And then there would be some remote events during the week. So if you were not in Chicago, then you could attend those events as well. So it was just try to make it really, really flexible. We had some events that were a combination between part-time and full-time as well. So definitely opportunities to network with them as well. Yeah.
Cool. Really interesting. So longer term, right? You've now graduated, you're in your product management role. How do you think the MBA is going to help you like 10, 15 years down the line?
Yeah, I feel like there's so much long-term strategic thinking business school provides you with. Like, how do you think of problems from a much bigger lens than just your own local maxima? I think that has definitely helped me a lot in terms of thinking from an all-company perspective. That has definitely helped me. So I feel like as I grow in my career and as I take on more of those responsibilities, it's going to help me. I actually feel it already, even right now. When I'm thinking about my problem, I'm able to, I'm not saying that, like other people can't do it. I'm sure they can, but I feel like an MBA definitely helped me to take a step up and think about it from a broader angle. That's number one. Number two is it gives you an amazing network. So all the people that I've gotten to know, they're going to be at amazing companies, and they're going to have their own networks. So that's the people who I met. But even internally at Microsoft or even at other companies, there's so many, the Booth alum community is extremely strong. I can reach out to any one who is a Booth alum, and they're always willing to help out. There's a large Booth alum community at Microsoft as well. So I think I always have resources there. That's number two. And number three in general is just, I think, to be in the company of so many bright people and still and while working and I think that gave me a lot of confidence that I can still excel even at a more high pressure environment. So I think that really helped me a lot. Well, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you about tech as an industry.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously, quite wisely, part of your thought process was staying employed in Microsoft, so you didn't have that uncertainty of leaving the job, etc.
Yeah.
And obviously since then, the tech landscape has changed. The recruiting landscape in tech has changed a lot. Just sort of MBA aside, tell me what you're seeing on the ground in terms of tech recruiting.
Yeah, it's a good question. I definitely think that the tech recruiting has slowed down. However, over the last year or so, as you've seen, however, right now, I think it's starting to open back up. We definitely, if you just go on LinkedIn or even Microsoft's job board, careers portal, you can definitely see that there's more and more jobs opening up. So what we would call as a hiring freeze. It's definitely not a freeze anymore. It's probably like a hiring thaw. So, it's just, so we are getting better. I feel like I expect it to get even better in a few months, but definitely I'm starting to see a lot more people hiring, a lot more openings coming up.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, as an industry, I feel like, yes, we went through a slowdown, but I feel like tech industry is poised for greatness, specifically with all the investments the industry is making in generative AI. And it's just, the opportunity is going to be a lot more in a few months, I think, definitely. So,
my perception of it is, or you could say that they went a bit overboard in hiring during COVID.
Yeah,
we've kind of got a slight slowdown as a repercussion of that, and eventually things will level back out again, and it would make sense. Yeah, okay,
that's my expectation as well.
Fantastic. Look, Sharoon, thank you so much for sharing all of this. Really kind of you. If somebody wants to get hold of you, if someone's watched this interview and they've thought, that guy Sharoon, what a smart bloke, how do they contact you?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you, Sam, for hosting me. I think this has been fantastic. I want to make sure I can add value to your viewers. Anyone who's watching this and they want to reach out, contact me on LinkedIn. I try to respond to everyone who reaches out to me. I actually do respond to everyone who reaches out to me. Happy to set up time, happy to talk through more questions if you have around part-time MBA versus full-time, or even executive MBA. If you're thinking more about tech, product management, happy to chat about those things. Generally happy to help. I know how much help I needed when I was on the other side, and I know how much help I got as well. So it was just fantastic. So I want to make sure I can, just give back to the community and help out as many people as I can.
Super kind of you. Well, I've learned a lot today, and I hope the viewers have as well. And thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it. And one final thing that I do with people, which is incredibly cringe, but that's why we're here. Can I get a high five?
Yeah, that's good.
Sharoon, thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam.
Cheers.